The first thing that we learn about mathematics is the idea of counting. I can look at these cups here and I can say that I've got 1, 2, 3 of them. But then, if I grab these markers here, I also have 3 markers. And what I want to note is that I can come here in whatever order I so like, and I can line up that each marker is associated with 1 cup, each marker is associated with 1 cup, and that the number 3 is sort of independent of either of these objects. It's associated with the 3 markers or it's associated with the 3 cups. And the fact that I can sort of line them up in this way doesn't matter. If you give me 3 of any objects, I can imagine lining them up in the same way. So what we really mean when we just say go and count something is that we really have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on in our minds, and we want to line up the objects with those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now this is a pretty elementary concept, but we're going to take that idea and extend it to infinite sets. For example, consider this correspondence. I'm going to send 1 to 2, I'm going to send 2 to 4, I'm going to send 3 to 6, and so on. Generally, I'm going to send n to 2n. This is some kind of correspondence between the positive integers and the positive even integers. Indeed, we can say that every single integer is associated with or corresponds to exactly one of the positive even integers. That indeed there's what we sometimes call a bijective correspondence between these 2 different sets. And what I mean by this is, first of all, every even integer is hit by something. Take the even integer 100, then 50 got associated to it. You take 102, then 51 is associated to it. But that it's only associated exactly once. There's only one number, 50, that goes and becomes associated with 100, not a whole bunch of different ones. When they have these 2 properties, sometimes called one-to-one and onto, we get this terminology of a bijective correspondence. Whenever you have this kind of relationship where everything in the first set gets associated with exactly one thing from the second set, that's how in mathematics we say that they're going to have the same size. And so in this case, the integers and the even integers, we will claim to have the same size. And while it might seem a little bit strange to be talking about the size of infinite sets, I want to note that this basic idea of trying to line all of the elements up and seeing that we have this correspondence between them, this is the same way that we worked in the finite case, that we could say that 2 different sets in fact have the same number because you can line them all up in this really nice way. So this is an appropriate notion that can be extended into the infinite case. So that was all very nice. We looked at the integers and the even integers, but now I want to look at an association between the integers and the rational numbers. I want to look at some way where I can have the same kind of correspondence, but they go from all of these positive integers into the rational numbers, where rational numbers are numbers like 3/5 or 5/7. Something where you've got an integer on the top and a non-zero integer on the bottom. That's what a rational number is. Now, the methodology is going to look a little bit like this. I'm going to write down first the number line, but I'm going to write it in a little bit of a strange way. So in this number line that we have here, we've got not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, and so on, which is just the same way. It's writing the number line in terms of a fraction. So now I want to make a sort of vertical dimension to this. I've written out the number line, the integers 1, 2, 3, 4 in fraction form, but now I'm going to go up 1 in the denominator. So I'm now going to go and try to look at 1/2, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, and so on. So all the same numbers, but I've upped the denominator by 1. By the way, sometimes you get repeats like 2 over 2 and 1 over 1 are really the same number, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to write down a few too many. That's going to be okay. All right, so then I'm going to do the same thing. Now it's 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 3 over 3, and so on, and I can carry on that progression. So really what I get here is this entire sort of plane of rational numbers. And indeed, you can think all rational numbers are here somewhere. Now, how can I line this up, this sort of 2-dimensional thing, with the integers, which are sort of a 1-dimensional thing? Because what we're trying to do is trying to get that correspondence where every integer gets mapped to some particular rational number, and every one of the rational numbers is hit by something. That's our objective here. So how can I do this? So what I want to do is I want to tell you a mechanism by which I can give you a first rational, a second rational, and a third rational. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin right down here on the corner, and I'm going to look at that 1 over 1. That's going to be my first rational I'm going to choose. Okay, next up I'm going to go and look at 2 over 1. That's my second rational. Now, if I keep on just coming along the line here, the problem's going to manifest itself, that I'm just going to get all of those ones of the form 7, 8, 9, 10, all the integers, but I'm never going to get around to a half because I have to go sort of on for infinity first before I can get up to a half. So I can't just go all the way along the line. So what I'm going to do is sort of snake around a little bit. The next one I'm going to choose is this one. I'm going to go and choose a half. So the first one is 1, the second one is 2 over 1, and the third one is 1 half. I'm then going to go up 1, I'm going to go to a third, I'm going to go and snake around back to 2 over 2, and then just keeps on going, keeps on snaking around. And I think what you can see from this process, and I'll cut it off here, is that, in fact, I'm going to get to every one of these positive rational numbers eventually. This snaking process is going to keep on hitting them. If I can imagine it keeps on going up, my snakes get longer and longer as they go in these diagonal lines, but I'm going to hit every single rational number. But more importantly, is that I've done this in a way that has told you what the first rational that I'm going to hit is, what the second, what the third, what the fourth is, as in I'm sort of listing off and counting the different rational numbers. So if I clean up some space for it, what I've done is I've sent the integer 1 to 1 over 1, the integer 2 to 2 over 1, the integer 3 to 1 half, and the integer 4 to 1 third, and so on and so forth. Note that I might want to do some skips. So for example, where should we send 5? Well, if I look at my snake, it goes to 2 over 2. But since 2 over 2 and 1 over 1 are the same thing, I'll just discard that and I'll just send 5 to the next one. 5 can go to 3 over 1. But the point is this. I've got this map from the integers into the rational numbers, and it hits every single one of those rational numbers. And so that is the sense by which I will say that the integers and the rational numbers, 2 infinite sets, have the same size, even though there are so many more rational numbers than integers. And to sort of illustrate kind of how remarkable this is, I want you to think about this. So here's the number line again, and I've got 0 to 1, some region here, and I've listed a whole bunch of different fractions, different rational numbers that are between 0 and 1. 1 over 1, 1 half, 1 third, 1 fourth, 1 fifth, all of those are between 0 to 1, and there's infinitely many of them. And all of them are going to squeeze in here between the integer 0 and the integer 1. And then likewise, I can change my numerator here. I've got 2 halves, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and so on. Another infinite list. There's some overlaps, but it's an infinite list, and all of those fit inside of there. And then, because I can do this by changing the numerator as much as I like, I actually have this infinite collection of these infinitely long lists, and absolutely all of them are fitting in between these two integers 0 and 1. So this gives you some sense of just how many more rationals there are than the integers, and yet they have the same size. Now, I hope you liked that video. We're going to have another one on this various topic coming out in about a week's time, but I want to leave you with a final question. Is it the case that all infinite sets have the same size under the notion of size that we described? Certainly the integers and the rational numbers and the even integers, as we've proven in this particular video, they're going to have the same size. But does that mean that every single possible infinite set is just the same size as the integers? Or in fact, or is there a different size? So that I will leave you to think about in time for next week.